Today we explore a deeply troubling escalation stretching from Gaza to Lebanon, the West Bank and Yemen. The question reverberates urgently: who will hold Israel accountable amid this multi-front war? And why is the international community still struggling to intervene meaningfully? We're joined by two experts bringing a unique perspective on this topic. Nourhan, El-Sheikh, a political science professor from Cairo, and Majid, an international law professor from Paris. Thank you both for joining me here on In Depth. Firstly, let's start off with you, Professor Nourhan. Now, how do you characterize the current military escalations by Israel across these various fronts?
Good evening, and thank you for having me with you. Actually, I think that it is related directly to some personal causes and reasons related to Netanyahu and his own government. Yes, there is some old projects and dreams for great Israel, but I think there is now a direct interest for Netanyahu and his government to continue war, to continue conflict, to justify what they are doing in front of Israeli public opinion and all inside. Whenever the pressure inside is going more and more hard, they are also going more and more tense outside. That's from my point of view, justify why they are escalating that much the conflict against Yemen, against Lebanon, plus, of course, and West Bank. They respond positively to any proposal, even that was proposed by Whitcliffe and the United States. I think they are stick hardly to power and be careless about any other humanitarian or legal things related to their people, or most important, to the Palestinian people.
Okay, we're going to that idea again, but let's get Professor Bouden's opinion here. Now, despite numerous reports and evidence, in addition to court rulings by international bodies, there's very little enforcement of the or use of this evidence amongst international institutions. Why is this not being enforced?
Because Israel has a feeling that it has impunity and immunity. So when a party, whether a person or a state, feels that he has this impunity, he will continue and he will escalate, because nothing will bring him back to reason. So we have to make it, we have to differentiate here. First of all, international law is working. It is the shield. It is the protection system for the weaker party, here the Palestinians. And we have an aggressor who is Israel and the government of Netanyahu. But we have decisions from the International Court of Justice, whether it's under the form of an advisory opinion or like an interim measures, provisional measures, but they have made it clear that Israel is the occupying authority, and Israel, as the occupying authority, has obligations to protect the Palestinian people in Gaza, in the West Bank, in East Jerusalem. But in fact, Israel is acting, and the government of Netanyahu, who is representing Israel, is acting against international law, and they are liable for
but there's no way to enforce international law. That's the issue, and that's why this is still ongoing.
Yes, and this is why we are. I believe we could come to explore the venues, and the venues are that while the international community is frozen, it didn't want to act, and they are committing an omission of acts. They don't act. They abstain to act And when we make an omission to act, we are liable, we are responsible. So now how to get out from this situation? First of all, we have the states they have the possibility to act to even force Israel to open the borders of Gaza and to deliver the supplies of food and water to really make relief to these people. Second, they can even force to protect, to establish a keeping force in Gaza and in the West Bank. They are not doing this. So they are in breach of international law. And here we have to see the mechanism under international law. The mechanism for the states, they are liable. They are liable in front of whom? They are liable in front of the International Court of Justice. How to bring them? And another point, the United Nations, which is doing a great job to make denunciation, to try to supply food, to make publications, to describe the situation as it is, and it's very good. But here we have, it's not a matter of feelings, it's a matter of legal obligations, international legal obligation. The United Nations is an UN organization, it's an international organization. It obeys to its charter, but it obeys to something else, higher than the charter. What is the UN organization? The UN organization is the Secretary General, the General Assembly, and the Security Council. These organizations, these three organizations within the UN organization, as an international organization, they have to obey to their charter. Then we have Article 7, as the President of Ireland has said, the United Nations could make applicable Article 7 to force Israel by a UN military force to open the doors to let the aid come to but they are not doing it. So there is a tool under
Yes.
which is the following. The Secretary General, who is a very honorable man, but he has obligations. He had obligations to call up on the Security Council. And the Security, we have parties, they can oppose veto. Here we have another obligation, another rule, which is higher than the charter, is the international law of public international law of customary public international law of international organization responsibility. This corpus of law is codified by the UN. What did it say? It said that they have obligations which are higher than their own charter. And
your point there is clear. I apologize, but we also want to get Professor Nourhan's opinion here as well when it comes to this. Obviously, there are a lot of ins and outs when it comes to applying the international law. But now, there have been remarks from political figures like Trump signaling possible peace intentions. Is this rhetoric a shift in policy, or is it just a tactic to sort of ease the pressure on the Israeli side? And what political calculations could influence Washington's reluctance to pressure the Israelis into a proper, actual ceasefire?
I think that the United States didn't take it seriously, or particularly Trump administration, because there are double standard, clear double standard, American double standard, very clear in many issues. When the Security Council last week, all countries and all members in the Security Council asked for support and exercise pressures on Israel. The only one who is using veto, usually, not only last week, but regularly, is the United States. Along its history, for decades, since the establishment of UN, and in each time there is a serious movement within the Security Council, the United States stopped with veto against Israel. So I think the American support to Israel is very critical matter. And unfortunately, Trump administration, although they are talking about proposals and the support, etc., and maybe to support Trump's chance in price, but unfortunately, up to the date, there is no serious pressure over Israel. That is for many reasons. Some of it is what Trump himself and his administration think about the situation. Part of it also that I think lately, since maybe 10 or 15 years, it is obvious that the one who is having the upper hand in the Israeli-American relation is Tel Aviv, not Washington. What could Clinton or whatever president of the United States before him can do, the other of the following presidents cannot. Obama, Trump, or Biden, they are all, from my point of view, are useless toward Israel. AIPAC and other organizations and pressure groups are very strong within the United States, plus interest, because you know that Trump also is a businessman, thinking in business, in deals. So what Palestinians will introduce Trump? Nothing but Israel and all organizations supported and all companies, all those supporters to Israel. So he is going to that, and he is thinking about deals and what the benefit, maybe personal and the United States benefit from any step forward.
Okay, Dr. Nourhan, thank you for that. We now move to a live press conference between the French President Emmanuel Macron and his German counterpart Friedrich Merz.
هناك كثير من الإصلاحات الهيكلية التي نقوم بها. قمت بإحياء القمة التي جرت في برلين.
Actually, all the affirmations that we are having, and we are having cooperation with the Germany, and we are having meetings to have a summit together so that we can have reforms together, and all the ministers that will prepare for the coming meetings to prepare for the production and the level of opportunities for youth and the aged people. All other topics we are discussing and regarding to the economy of both countries. These topics will be discussed between us and in the German-French meeting, and we are working on this for several months. We are having the steps forward, and we are trying to have suggestions through these meetings together, and in relation to the bilateral relations between France and Germany. In culture and education, we are trying to launch a platform called RT, that is a project between France and Germany, and these projects relate or aim to increase the cooperation between France and Germany in the same agenda, and to have coordination in the efforts to eliminate the crimes and the demonization of democracy between states. And actually, through the coordination with other European states, we are trying to have cooperation between the two countries in the field of immigration and the civil protection. Why immigration? To protect our borders and to promote the coordination with other states in the framework of Schengen. And we are trying to apply the contract of immigration and to enhance the cooperation between the two countries, and to apply a clear plan between the two countries to solve the problems that we are facing, especially for the civilians and the youth and the aged people, to provide medical care and health care for the aged people, and to promote all the services inside both countries. And I do not want to talk a lot about this, but the aim behind all these meetings and this meeting of today is to have a coordination between the countries in different fields and to continue this cooperation between the two countries. That's what we are trying to communicate for the whole world. We are facing big challenges, and at the same time, if we can together stand by each other, we can face these challenges and propose solutions, and to stand together to help each other and to support each other in the economic field and the educational field. If we can stand together, we can move forward and to apply this shared agenda, and we will continue in this and to coordinate our efforts in addition to all the meetings that we will have in Evian city. And after this I will move to Berlin to attend the summit of digital transformation, and after this we can have shared projects. Thank you, Emmanuel Macron, for being with us today.
Merci pour tous et pour votre hospitalité à cette place ici. Merci. Lassen Sie mich auf Deutsch fortfahren, lieber Emmanuel. Wir beide sind
Thanks for being with us today. And
that was part of a live press conference between French President Emmanuel Macron and the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, where they discussed further cooperation between both countries, both economically and as well as through education and security. And now we go back again to our topic here on In Depth, and let's get Professor Boudin's opinion. How do you explain the Trump administration's hesitation between words of restraint as well as the absence of any meaningful action towards ending this violence?
Well, it's a matter of the balance of forces. Everybody is agreeing that international is applicable, but certain countries, certain forces, they don't want to make it applicable to Israel, and this is a failure and a violation. But what is the solution here? The solution either is to find an equilibrium, but the international law can be a tool in this equilibrium. There are two venues possible. One of the venues is that the countries like South Africa and all the countries that have supported the request of South Africa before the International Court of Justice could file a further request within this case, asking the International Court of Justice to issue a decision on the emergency situation in Gaza. And with that decision, and it's probably the decision will be given because the records of the International Court of Justice are very clear and they are supporting this.
Mm-hmm. But how does the repeated US vetoes or abstentions impact the UN's ability when it comes to effectively handling the situation?
Yes, I am coming to this point of the veto, which is the crucial point. So if these countries will go before the Security Council and put on the table the decision of the International Court of Justice and ask them to make application of this decision, until now, in the history of the Security Council, no decisions was made, no veto was opposed to a decision of the International Court of Justice. And here, this is the situation because the UN Security Council cannot oppose veto to the decision of the International Court of Justice. This is number one. The powers of the Security Council are not limited, like all powers, on the basis of international law, and especially of customary public international law of international organization responsibility. This is a corpus made by the United Nations itself. by the humanity for centuries and codified by the United Nations. It's higher than the UN Charter. And they say few things. First of all, powers are not unlimited. They have limitation, including the veto. They have to be limited because the goal of Security Council is to maintain peace. And the situation of starvation, of killing in Gaza is not maintaining peace, is going against peace. Second, the good faith in the application of international law is useful in this matter. And when you see the starving, the veto is not the expression of good faith. So the second venue is to request the UN Security General Secretary to ask an advisory opinion, and he had the power to do so, to ask the International Court of Justice to issue a legal opinion, what we call an advisory opinion, to say when there is a starvation situation, when there is a killing, when they describe the situation in Gaza, it's very clear. Is the Security Council allowed to oppose a veto, or a member cannot allow the veto? It's very probable that the International Court of Justice, by making application of international, will say no. And then the veto will be put in its limits, which is the spirit of the Charter of the United Nations. And here we can have a tool to impose that international will be made applicable at the highest level of the highest jurisdiction in the world. So the international law has the possibility to put an end to this killing of the people and to this genocide. So the international community has to explore these venues.
Okay, let's get Professor Nourhan's perspective here. Now, do you think that it is within the US's interests for Israel to continue this multi-front war and not pressure it into cessation of violence, basically? Does this keep the US interests in check, I suppose, in the Middle East?
I think the United States and the Trump administration is somehow in a mess, because on one hand he wanted to pretend that he's worth it enough for the Nobel Prize for peace, and he is calmed all conflicts around the world. But in reality, he has a direct interest in that, from my point of view, is genocide happened in Gaza. He has some dreams, projects, business he wants to do in Gaza, and he clearly mentioned to that before. So I think that Trump administration cannot follow one clear line concerning that. They are talking about peace, about stopping war, but in reality, on the ground, they still highly supportive to Israel within the UN, and also concerning providing Israel with weapons, all kinds of needs in that war, not only weapons. And they didn't take a serious and important step toward stopping war, stopping genocide, providing humanitarian assistance to Palestinians, with all respect to international law and ethics and values and all what the international community is doing in all levels. But unfortunately, still the American attitude make all that useless, and Israel is continue its harmful genocide policies within Gaza, within West Bank, and toward all its neighbors in Syria, in Lebanon, in Yemen. It's very violent and really it is very offensive toward all neighbors and toward Palestinians as well.
Okay, Professor Bouden, now you heard Professor Nourhan there talking about the idea of, yes, international law exists, but the application of it is negligible, if any at all. Now, what's your opinion here? Famine is, for instance, no longer just a looming threat in Gaza, it's a reality. How does international law actually help when it comes to stopping this famine? It's been ongoing for months and not much has been done about it.
Well, I mean, it's very important that international community will not accept the accomplished fact, fait accompli, to not accept this accomplished fact as final and to reverse it, and not to only comment on it, not to disapprove it, not to express its feeling. It's good, but it's not sufficient. Now we have, the international community should find operational ways how to get out of it. One of the possibilities is international law. International law is a necessary way, but it's not a sufficient way. When we say that, we mean that we have to make application of international law. There is no double standard in international law. There is only one standard. The difference is that the standard is applicable in all cases, in several cases, but it was excluded to be applicable to the Palestinian situation. Yes. And this way, we have to restore the possibility and the imperative obligation to, because it's a matter of international public order.
Yes, your point there is clear that we have to return to public order and the return to international law, but unfortunately I'm out of time. Thank you both for joining me. That was Nourhan El-Sheikh, a political science professor, and the Professor Majid Bouden, Professor of International Law. Thank you both for your insights.